everyone has a little bit of something, but there's always one or two people that have everything. Welcome back to the Dirt Drive, guys. I'm Trevor. With me today is Tom.
Yo.
Just the two of us today because our friends are bums and they didn't want to show up. So today we're going to talk about something that happens quite a bit, especially whether you're doing a one-day trip or you're out for a weekend, whatever, is kind of packing your rig for the day to go out on the trails.
The week.
Or the week, yeah. Whichever. But what do you need? You know, tools, food, all that good stuff that you bring along with you. We're going to go over all that today. Always, if you guys have any suggestions or you guys do anything differently, obviously feel free to leave us a comment, send us a message, and we're happy to go over it. But we'll go ahead and get started. So,
also, make sure you guys, like and subscribe, give us a rating on whatever you listen to the podcast on. Check out our socials, Dirt Nerds Offroad on Instagram, the Dirt Drive on Instagram, and DirtNerds Motors also on Instagram. And you can find all of them at dirtnerdsoffroad.com.
There it is.
The packing thing is it's been a weird evolution for us over the years.
Oh, yeah.
Like, personally, because, we went from, moving our entire lives into the woods for 4 days, setting up a stationary campsite at a Big Dogs event at the Cove, and just, living comfortably and large. And,
to be fair, we also had groups of 20 people at that point.
True, which helped because everybody had chairs and tables. We always biased, but had a really nice setup. I always felt like.
Yeah, I think we definitely honed it down too, because the first couple trips we did with that many people, it was, and I'm sure we've talked about it before, but we brought way too much stuff as far as food.
Excessive.
I never felt like we brought too much gear. Everyone had their own stuff, but the food in particular was always one of those we'd always end up with 32 hamburger buns for 10 burgers.
Unnecessarily,
Jesus. But I always felt like when we would go out for the day that we were always packed pretty well.
Yeah.
As much as we overbrought for the campsite, we never really overdid it in the Jeeps themselves.
Right.
Everyone brought their drinks, their tools, whatever, because we always kind of designated who had that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think the excessiveness of the food was just overestimating how much. Anytime you have 15, 20 people in a group that you're trying to feed, it's hard to estimate that.
Oh, yeah.
And then I've always believed in the better to have it and need it or have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yep.
So having those extra hamburger buns could have been beneficial, but if it didn't work out, so be it, whatever, we bring them home, not the end of the world. However, as we've gone into the overlanding side of things, we've had to become a little more efficient.
Oh, yeah.
Because, we don't have 4 tow rigs. We don't have, an extra 3 vehicles. You're wheeling in your vehicle. You've got the one vehicle. You're not towing a trailer. And there's certain stuff you kind of have to bring, right? We're at the Cove, there was firewood available, whether purchased or pull it off the ground. We didn't bring nearly as much firewood. Or, I'd bring some firewood, you'd bring some firewood, Tim would bring firewood.
Yep.
We always had plenty of that. And now it's different. I think our last trip out that Tim and I did with Sean, I definitely prioritized firewood as a big one.
Yeah.
Because it was like national forest, it's not like you can just go cut trees down.
Yeah, it's a big no-no.
So you've got to find deadfall and then processing it. Is it seasoned? There's definitely a bunch there. So having that preparation definitely helps.
Yeah.
If you're gonna camp, if you've you do either have to have some sort of plan for firewood. Thankfully I had the truck. The skinny guy has the bed open underneath, so I had plenty of room to carry it. But even that, like, it was just myself, Carrie, and the dog in the truck with the camper and still having half the bed and the entire backseat of the truck. For one overnight trip, we still packed it pretty full.
Yeah. I mean, I think people forget that, like, whether it's a one-day trip or a week-long trip, especially if you don't have a rooftop tent or a camper or something like that, you're bringing a lot of the same essential gear with you, right? It's not, you're not going to, just because it's a one-night trip, you're not bringing your tent. So that tent is going to take up the same amount of space in your car every single time.
Right.
Your sleeping bags, your clothes, whatever else you're bringing. If you're bringing a second set of shoes or boots, whatever, all that takes up the same amount of space. Where it starts to get tricky is if you are going for a longer trip, now you're like, okay, how do I pack all of the dry goods, the stuff that needs to stay cold for people who don't necessarily have domestics and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've always felt we've done a pretty good job with that. Obviously, the electric cooler has helped out a lot.
That was a big change.
Yeah, so as opposed to having to bring 3 coolers because you had to pack them half full of ice,
right?
You can bring one cooler that's got all the dry goods that you can fill with ice when you get there for the drinks, and then the electric cooler's got all the meats, the cheese, and everything because you don't need ice. So it's great. And I think that you got that from Costco, right? It was
that first one was a Massimo, which is funny because like I see it now everywhere. Like I think it's on Amazon now at this point.
They had a great deal at Costco on it though. It
was like $250. Yeah, it was like $249.99 or something.
45 quart, I think,
something like that. Yeah. And it's like it works great. It does not handle being bounced around the trail that well.
Yeah, we did find that.
Which I guess in an overlanding sense, like it's probably okay in most cases. Yeah. I haven't tried it because like all the overlanding stuff, I've got the Dometic and the skinny guy. So I've been using that mostly, and that may be the one advantage to spending the money on a good fridge.
Oh yeah,
is that durability and just that that being built to withstand the driving side of it versus an electric cooler that's it's designed to run off your car, but it's not necessarily designed to be moved a ton.
To be fair, we didn't really have it strapped down either. It was kind of loose and free.
Well, but even like sitting on the seat, you had to level it, like because it's got a level sensor in there for the compressor. So like I think those high angle. I don't know if that's a term they use in refrigeration or not, but like being able to be a little bit off kilter and still run is definitely a major benefit if you're going the fridge route.
Absolutely.
If not, then like just having a good base to keep it from rocking around too much is good.
I think we've done a solid job on our trips of we make it easier on ourselves by designating who's bringing what, and I think that's a big part of, especially when you're in a group. It's a lot easier when you're by yourself. You only relying on yourself, but general rule, you shouldn't really go out by yourself anyway. So you should always have at least a second person that knows where you are, and that's always like hey, if you bring the tools, I'll pack everything else in my rig, whatever. We've always done it that way.
Yeah, that's actually exactly what Tim and I did. It was like, I've got the fridge, he's just got a cooler.
Yep.
He's going to pack the beer, then we'll split the beer, and I was, Carrie and I basically went to the store, filled up the fridge.
Yep.
And it was great. Like we had everything there. It was super easy. He brought a cast iron. Being able to divide and conquer definitely helps when you're limited on the space.
Yep, absolutely.
I think the cooking, I guess, choice is kind of an interesting one as far as like, what are you going to cook on? Like a grill grate, a cast iron, a scuttle.
That changes a lot of what you bring. Like I've never brought mine out because I've always just brought the Blackstone because I have the truck. But I have like an open fire grate.
Yeah.
It's just there to be set up. You make a small little fire, not like your full-blown campfire, but you make a small little pit, you stick it over, and that's your grill. And you can certainly do that. Like that will definitely help you save space. And, because the Blackstones are not small, the grill we used to bring didn't fall down.
We brought like an actual backyard grill that we had to strap to a trailer. Yeah. It was
$100 at Walmart.
Yeah. It was, it got the job done. It lasted us, a year.
Yeah.
Until it fell off the trailer.
Yeah.
But like there's definitely like I'm starting to appreciate that efficiency more.
Yeah.
I have determined, and I'm probably take some flack from this from the overland community, but fuck scottles.
Really?
I've
never personally used one in the woods, so
I'm sure there's a learning curve to it. I'm sure it is.
I think Sean really likes his scottle, doesn't he?
Swears by him. So it's not that I couldn't learn to use it, but I would rather do the grill grate over some coals. Like, I'm building a fire anyway. Like, the scottle just adds a layer to it that I think is overcomplicated. It does package nicely. It packs up small. It cleans really easily. Like, I'm for all of that.
Yeah.
It's the actual cooking process.
Yeah.
And again, I'm sure there's a learning curve. I'm sure I could get used to it if I had to. However, I don't think it's as versatile as people say it is.
Yeah.
The whole slanted thing, like we tried to make pancakes and Sean's like, yeah, pancakes are great on a scottle. And it's like, okay. And like, yeah, if you get the scottle hot enough, it doesn't drip, like the pancake doesn't run away from you too quickly. But like,
but if you're a first time user, I could easily see you like.
Well, and this is what bothers me about the scottle is it's got basically it's designed to have multiple heat zones.
Yeah.
Which I can see a benefit to.
Yeah, absolutely.
However, the things I like to eat when I'm camping, not really a lot of benefit to it. The butter would melt and it would just run down to the middle. So you end up with a pool of butter in the middle. And then the butter would get too hot because the middle and the bottom is the hot zone.
Yeah.
So then the butter would burn, and then your pancake would be half cooked in burnt butter, and then the other half would get stuck because there was nothing like it. Like to me, like.
And if there's one meal you really don't want to mess up, it's breakfast.
Right. So like I can see if you're doing like bacon and eggs, right? You can line the outside with bacon. The bacon slow cooks. The grease drips to the center. You cook your eggs in the grease.
Yep.
Excellent for bacon and eggs.
Yep.
You can do the exact same thing on a cast iron. Everything you can do on the scottle, you can do on the cast iron with no issues.
Yeah. That's why I love the Blackstone I have because I can independently control each side, so I can have one hotter than the other.
Right.
And all I got to do is make sure that it's level, and that's easy enough.
Right. Yeah, and that's like, we were a little unprepared with the this is where the scottle did kind of probably help. Was that morning it was raining, so like getting a fresh fire going to use the cast iron's a little bit tough.
Yeah.
But again, that's solved by a single propane burner. It doesn't necessarily have to be a scottle.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think at some point I think I am going to get that Komodo kitchen from OVS because it's got everything built in. So like it's got the burners, everything, but it folds down into basically like a 3x2 box, and it only weighs like 45 pounds.
Right.
So you want to talk about something that doesn't take up a lot of space, but is multifunctional. It's got a sink. It's got one of those jet burners that you can do a coffee pot on. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's like in a pinch, we easily could have put the cast iron in the skinny guy and used the burner in the skinny guy.
Yeah.
Now,
but those Coleman single burners, like
it works just as good. And didn't really want to like cook inside the tent.
Yeah.
Not trying to stink the tent up, not trying to set it on fire or whatever else. So like
it's removable, guys. Relax.
The OVS camp kitchen thing, is gonna be sweet.
Yeah,
because like having the truck, having the space for that, even an SUV like the 4Runner Jeep World, that would package nicely in the trunk, and it does. It opens up. It gives you the counter space, the table space, whatever prep space, whatever you want to call it. I think when it comes down to what you're packing, like food wise, it comes down to what you're using to cook, right? So like we knew we were going to have the cast iron or the scottle, depending on the situation. So we did, basically steak and cheese or cheese steaks, depending on where you're from, for dinner.
Two different things.
Again, depending on where you're from. And it was easy, like fried up some onions in the cast iron.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scoop those out. Same, one pan, salt, pepper, super easy.
Don't add us, Philly. Relax.
Listen. I'm a cheese, meat, and onions. That's it. I'm not None of the lettuce, tomato, mayo.
No.
Like
See, that's a steak and cheese. When you go somewhere and order steak and cheese, you get all those crappy toppings.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I think like we get kind of fancy with our cooking because we have that equipment. Like we have the ability to bring all that extra stuff. So we do the steak and shrimp tacos and all that stuff. But you can get real simple with it and just do, pre-made burgers, hot dogs, whatever.
The prep thing is a big one.
Yes.
Like, and this is
I've learned. That
I know
over time.
you've always been good at doing that, and like my wife was the one that actually was like, should I pre-cut the onions? And I was like, absolutely. Like, put them in a baggie. One less thing. It's one less utensil to bring. It's one less utensil to worry about washing or what do I do with this dirty knife? Like, it's done. They're chopped. They're ready to go. And I think that's a big one. Like just prepping it.
Oh yeah.
Prepping in general is super useful. Like for pancakes, we just got the add water shaken pour deal. Like super
like
simple.
the Bisquick bottle, whatever.
Yep. Yeah. It was from a term I learned from Shitty Kitty.
Okay.
Also known as Food Lion. Get it from the Shitty Kitty. That was my exact reaction. Yeah, if you live in like Virginia or the Carolinas,
seriously what Sean?
That was Tim.
Local?
That was Tim. Tim called it Shitty Kitty.
Damn.
And
it's all that time spent in North Carolina.
Yeah, we were like, oh, I haven't heard that one before, but that is great. And now Kurt calls it Shitty Kitty. It's fantastic.
That's perfect. Yeah, I mean that was something that I definitely learned along the way. Just because when you cook as much at home, you don't really think about that, right? Like you don't think, oh, I have all this counter space, I have all this. When you're trying to cut it on a 8x4 folding table, and all your other shit is on the table because you don't want to put it on the ground, you're like, ooh, now I have to cut 3 onions, 4 bell peppers. Like this is gonna be a pain in the dick.
Yeah.
Oh, and it started raining. Great.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, now I got mud in my dinner. Oh shit. Yeah, the prep is definitely big because it can also save you a ton of space.
Yeah.
Like, besides the time and effort, like, if you just have little baggies of things versus a whole onion or a whole pepper.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's just, you can stuff it in something, you can fit it in the cooler better.
Oh, yeah, because one Ziploc bag will hold your onions, your peppers, seasoned up, all ready to go. All you got to do is dump it on the grill.
Yep.
And I think that prepping goes a long way towards, like, basically anything else that you're bringing, right? You have to have forethought in how you pack your stuff, too. Like, it's not just I need to think about how I can pack this to fit more stuff. It's, just like they always tell you, whatever you're going to use the most of should be the thing that you have the easiest access to. Like, if you know that you're going to be taking your tools out at some point, you don't want your tools buried under all your crap underneath your seat.
Right.
You want to be able to open up your hatch and go, there's my tool bag.
Yep.
Like that's the kind of stuff that we have definitely seen, like at Big Dogs and stuff, where you have a lot of beginner people where they come out and they're like, oh yeah, let me get the tools out of my Jeep.
Yeah.
And they're back there for half an hour and you're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I got to move my spare tire and all this. Like, dude, we got tool, like, we're good. Like,
I for me, as far as like how I try and package things is like based on when I'm going to need them on the trip. Like, obviously anything can happen. Yeah. Shit's going to change, whatever. But like the skinny guy's got there's one compartment that's got like a pass through.
Oh yeah. Where you can put like your groceries and stuff through.
That was our snack compartment.
Nice.
So it was like, great to carry it in the truck with us, but also like trying to just limit how much stuff's bouncing around inside the truck.
Yep.
The dog bowl, so the dog had the whole back seat to himself, right? There was nothing in the back seat except for, I think, our pillows.
Okay.
And the dog. And then it was like the dog bowl, a couple bottles of water, trail mix, glizzy sticks, like all of our go-to trail snacks are right there. And it's an easy hop out.
Yep.
Grab the box, back in the truck.
Nice.
So like just using the space efficiently is a big one, but also planning it out for like, okay, if I need my tools, right? Like tools are usually kind of a situation where like you want them quickly. You don't want to empty all your sleeping crap out just to get to a tool bag. Mm-hmm. So like again, probably a little bias being a mechanic, but like accessible tools to me is always like a big one. Yep. Straps, same thing. Like for like recovery gear, you don't want to have to dig around for recovery gear.
I've always used to put my recovery stuff, because I never had a passenger. I just put it in the footwell of the passenger seat. because it's just like if I can just lean over and grab it, we're great.
Yeah. It's like for this trip, I just had it tucked under the back seat, so like it was easy. Open the door, just slide it right out the back.
Nice.
Didn't carry anything crazy, just a strap and soft shackle.
Yeah, I mean, you guys weren't really getting into anything like super crazy, so
right. And we were there with Sean, like who's pretty well outfitted. Like again, kind of packing to what the group is. Like we have all the gear if we need it, but we don't necessarily have to bring it on every trip.
Yeah, and I think there's even like we all know Tim loves to not have to stop. Like if he could wheel for 8 hours straight and never stop, that's the perfect day for him. So packing your food for the day goes into that too. Like we always like to bring snacks in the Jeep with us because if we know, hey, if we stop, great. If we don't, then we've got chips and sandwiches, beef jerky, like stuff that will keep you going so you don't ever get too hungry.
Yep.
Sodas, waters, whatever.
Yeah, trail snacks.
People don't think about that. Like we've had people come out to Big Dogs where they go, "Oh yeah, we'll just bomb back to camp real quick." It's like, cool. Do you know how to get off the trails by yourself? Because if not, you're stuck out here with us for 6 hours. You're gonna be pretty hungry.
And I will say, I do think the overlanding mentality is definitely a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like packing the trail rig versus packing the tow rig is definitely a different game.
Yeah,
100%. Like all the tools, all of that stuff. Like there's the trail tools that go in the trail rig.
Yep.
And then there's spare parts and the big boy tools that don't see the trail that stay in the truck.
Yep.
And that's a much more, I don't want to say inefficient style of packing, but like
you're packing for the situation.
That's a much bigger packaging day.
Yeah.
Right, because it's a longer trip.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different kind of trip where we're expecting to break something.
Yep.
Like the overlanding trips are definitely significantly lighter.
Yes.
But you also need to be way more efficient.
Yeah.
Right, because you also don't necessarily have the bailout of like, oh shit, we need more eggs. Like, all right, unhook the trailer. I'm going to run to town real quick and get.
You may be literally
eggs.
In the middle of nowhere.
Right. It's like we haven't hit that 4 or 5 day expedition type thing.
Yeah.
But like,
that'll be interesting when we do.
Yeah. Well, and the nice thing is a lot of the overlanding community has mapped that stuff pretty well.
Yeah.
So it's easy to build your route around like, okay, I've got 2 days worth of food. At some point in that 2 days, we got to go find
a town,
town, a grocery store, a market, something where you can pick up, bread, egg, and milk and cheese kind of thing.
Is there a blizzard?
Yeah. Yeah. No. It's when you go to the bank and empty your bank account into cash.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
And then buy all the bottled water available.
Yes.
Right. Because immediately following the blizzard is going to be an extreme drought.
Yeah. So we want all the perishable food.
Yes. Let's buy all the perishable things that will go bad within days of power being out and all of the bottled water just in case we can't get water from melting snow. I mean, in case there's a drought afterwards. Right.
We're not petty.
No. I mean, I feel like we've accidentally turned this into another overland cooking episode, but
that's I feel like. I mean, I think that's where a lot of people mess up.
Outside of food and toilet paper, like there's really nothing else to do because overlanding is nothing more than going to eat and poop in different places.
That's what Sean would tell you. Yeah. But I think that's where the food is where people have the biggest hang up a lot of the times. Like everyone knows when you're going on a camping trip.
Oh yeah, just bring some MREs and you're good to go.
Yeah, but it's like everyone knows when you go camping, you bring your tent, you bring your sleeping bag. Now, that's not to say that we haven't camped with people who've forgotten that shit because they're rushing out the door.
Yeah.
But you're not going to a camping trip going, do I need my tent? Nah, I'll be okay. Unless you're Habib and you bring a hammock, but that's a whole separate thing.
Well, yeah, but I think that's.
But I think tools and food are the big ones
Yeah.
where that people just, and like you said, spare parts too. Like even small stuff. Like you can pack small spare parts.
Yeah,
like
bring a belt,
U-joints, belts, spare brake lines.
Valve stems are a big one. If you're airing down, bring extra cores with you in case you drop one. Yeah, they've been known to disappear into the woods.
Yeah, but I think that's
tire patch kit.
At least that's personally where I've seen people like even at Big Dogs where you're close to town.
Yeah,
people come in and they go, oh man, we've already gone through all of our food and it's only day 2. And it's like, how did you not bring it? Oh, well, we thought we did. It's like, holy crap, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
we shared lunch with the people we were on the trails with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they didn't bring any food. So
yeah, exactly.
Well, and like, again, I think that's okay to an extent just because, that is you have that bailout.
Yeah.
And again, it comes down to what's my trip, what am I doing, how many people, what can I carry?
Yeah.
Do I have a refrigerator or am I just working on ice? We're gonna have to stop and get ice.
Yep.
Do we need perishables? And there is no right or wrong answer. We're bougie like that, where like we like nice food when we're camping. Yeah.
But I think we've also done a good job over the years of figuring out how to delegate certain tasks to certain people, and that just comes from wheeling with the same people constantly. Like if you're always around different people, if you're the type of person that goes on Facebook and just goes, hey, who's going out this weekend, and it's always different people, then you kind of still have to solely rely on yourself to bring everything that you need.
Self-sufficient.
Yeah, but when you're with the same people all the time, it gets way easier. Like, we're at a point where nobody even asks about food anymore.
Yeah.
They just assume that I'm bringing it, and they just go, how much do I have to pay you?
Hey, Trevor, there's 6 people. Let me know what it costs.
Yeah, like, then that's all it is. And honestly, we figured that out because it just got to a point where it's like, you know what? It's easier if one person just does it because we don't have all this overlap. Right. And that's where all of our excess food was coming from.
Yep.
And it's the same way with tools. Like, everyone has a little bit of something, but there's always 1 or 2 people that have everything. Like, everyone brings their impact and everyone brings like some wrenches and stuff.
I think a big one, especially in the overlanding thing, that I kind of kick myself, but I mean, we were fine. We brought enough firewood, but like, if you don't have the space to carry a ton of firewood with you, getting something to get firewood, like, get one of the electric chainsaws, and something to split it with. Like, I think those are 2 tools that definitely get overlooked.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, in our group, there's always at least 1 chainsaw.
Oh, yeah.
And that was more for trail clearing than it was firewood gathering.
Yep.
And, like, that's just a good tool to have.
Yeah, having a good splitting hatchet, a good splitting axe, like, I get it. Not everyone knows how to use a chainsaw. And that's, but if you
learn.
Learn.
And, like, if you're out in the woods, it's a tool you're going to want.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't necessarily need it, but you're going to want it at some point.
But we've definitely run into those people who have brought the chainsaw, but no way to make it any smaller safely.
Right.
And the last thing you want to be doing is trying to shave down wood with a chainsaw.
Yeah, it gets a little sketchy.
Most people don't have the control like the guys you see on TV at the lumberjack games.
Yeah, carving the swan out of a stump. Yeah.
And to be fair, some people don't even have the skill to use a hatchet properly. Ask
also
TJ.
True. Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, there's I think you're right. There's really no right or wrong there. It's just, you just have to know where you're going and what you're bringing. And preparation, as with most things in life, is the most important thing. Because if you don't prep, then you may as well just stay home. Yeah,
it's pretty simple. Something to sleep in. If the weather's permitting and you are one of those weird people that can sleep in a hammock,
go for it.
Do one of those little hammock cocoon things because it'll save you a ton of space.
Make sure it has a cover, though. Cause
bugs are, especially a hot Virginia humid summer. Ugh, gross.
Yeah, hammock net.
Whether it's a ground tent, rooftop tent, skinny guy camper, something along those lines, like all of it works. I have yet to really find the need for any kind of like major redundancy, at least individually. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go out by yourself, you probably do want to plan some redundancy into food and water and whatever else. But like, whenever we're out in groups, I don't think we've ever run out of anything or been like, oh shit, we should have done this or should have brought this.
Not unless something got dropped.
Yeah, in which case we don't really go, damn, we should have gotten more of them. We just go,
like,
who dropped the 18 dozen eggs? Oh, no. All right, no eggs. Bacon only for breakfast.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah. High protein breakfast. Yeah, it's something to sleep, basic tools, whether it's...
For your vehicle.
Right.
Don't just go out and buy a universal toolkit.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, we've debated that on previous episodes as far as do you build a kit specifically for your vehicle or not. Like, I am not necessarily for that. Personally,
I just more mean like you should know what your vehicle takes. Like, if you're buying
a toolkit, you got to make sure what you need for your vehicle is in that toolkit.
Yeah.
Like, for whatever reason, the cheap Amazon, eBay, Harbor Freight toolkits don't have 18 millimeters in them.
What?
Apparently, it's not a common size. I've also there was an early Pittsburgh Impact set I got.
Yeah,
that went from it went 10 to 17, and then 22 to 24.
No 18, 19, or 21?
Because they want you to buy it separately. It's more money, right? So,
tell me there was a 20 in there.
I don't think there was. But, I think Harbor Freight's kind of gotten away from some of that, but you got to watch with some of these cheaper kits. They'll only give you the 10, the 12, the 13, the 14, the 15, the 17. They'll skip a 16. They'll skip an 18. They'll skip an 11.
So weird.
It's just.
I mean, I understand. Capitalism rules the day.
Well, and it's packaging, right? We give you a 10-piece wrench set. They're not going to necessarily get. It's not the full 8 through 22.
Yeah.
So getting a good quality toolkit's definitely a big one, but the toolkit itself, the details of it, I'm sure we can flash it on the screen somewhere what episode it was. I think PJ and I sit down and talk about it. But you have your vehicle toolkit, and back to why I don't say specific to your vehicle. You may not need it for only your vehicle.
Correct. Yeah, especially when you're in a
if you come across somebody broken down on the trail and you're in a position to help them, you should be able to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can't go oh, sorry, I can't
fix Toyotas.
I can't change your lug nuts because I only have the 21 for my Jeep.
Yeah.
Or I only have the 19 for my Jeep and your Toyota's a 22. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't bring any tools with you? Oh, well, good luck. That could become a dangerous situation, right?
Absolutely.
But if you have a full toolkit, you can then get the spare on for that guy and everybody can go about their day. The food thing, there is a such thing as too much and wasting space.
Absolutely.
So, plan it out, prep ahead, package it well.
And think about what you eat in a day. It's not just because you're going out in the woods. Yes, you should maybe pack a little extra just in case shit happens, something falls on the ground, whatever. But think about what you eat in a day. Are you by yourself eating 8 hamburgers in a day and a half?
I will say, one thing that always sneaks up on me, and I think everyone else I've ever talked to about it, is the amount of effort and calories you burn driving.
Yes.
When you're not just on cruise control 75 down the highway. Yep. When you are running a trail, working the wheel, working the brake, working the gas.
Especially getting out and guiding, walking around. Yeah.
Well, even just our trip the other week, the overlanding side of it, it's still work.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's still 8 hours behind the wheel and it's 8 hours of doing stuff behind the wheel.
Yep.
So factor that in. Don't go the opposite and go, I'm just sitting around driving. I only need, a granola bar for breakfast and, banana. If you can, great. Awesome. We're thick boys off road here. We like to eat.
Yeah, bacon and egg sandwiches, probably 2.
Yep. A donut, 2 cups of coffee. I think the general rule of thumb with cooking has always been about half a pound of protein per person. When we go out in the woods, I usually do 3/4 of a pound. So if we've got 6 people, I bring 4 pounds of steak, whatever, or 2 pounds of steak, 2 pounds of shrimp kind of thing. For that very reason, because I don't think there's ever been a time where we've come off the trail and been like, man, I feel so much more refreshed than I felt this morning. No, you're going over to your... Trevor, fire at the Blackstone!
We're walking over to our chairs and sitting down, and we've already cracked 2 beers because we're like, oh my God.
Yeah. Chug a beer, chug a water, chug a beer, chug a water.
And then I stand up and I start cooking.
Eat a bag of chips.
Yeah. Oh, the snackies.
Yeah.
Always have snackies. Yeah. Don't just rely on your main meals to get you through. Bring, and it, You know what you like personally. I always like to bring, a few different types of chips, some beef jerky, Rice Krispie treat, like something that's just going to help you get through. Sometimes you do need a little bit of a blood sugar spike to just get you over that last little hump.
Yeah, the munchies.
So it's definitely important to do that, but people always forget the snacks, and then they laugh at us when we bring in Rice Krispie treats and shit, and they're always like, "You're not going to eat all those." And by the end of the trip, we're like, "Yeah, we finished those 2 days ago."
Because we got off the trail and we're going, Rice Krispie treat, and we're throwing them at each other. And who wants Rice Krispie treat? Oh, yeah. Oh, you made it over the obstacle. Here's a Rice Krispie treat. Yeah.
You threw it in the fire. What's wrong with you?
Oh man. Oh, you know what? That's a good point too. Fire starter.
Oh yeah.
That was one that got overlooked, and thankfully I was smart enough to bring paper towels.
Or dryer lint's also a good one.
Well, yeah, I was like, there's tons of fire starter options that are DIY, commercially available, whatever it is. But it was like, ooh, I always keep a lighter in the truck.
Yep.
Like that's just normal.
Yep.
So it's like I have the lighter. Like I did the whole dead leaves and twigs thing, and I'm like, it had rained earlier that day, so the leaves weren't really burning. I'm like, I just need something that's going to sustain a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh. I got the blue shop towels.
Yep.
I like stuffed them into
those
the
are super flammable.
well, and like, but they burn slow.
Yep.
Because they're like almost cottony.
Yep.
So like I was like, ooh, I bet you that'll work, and I like ripped off a couple of those, rolled them up, left like the one
dipped
corner
them under the truck
out.
To get some oil.
Yeah, I thought about that. But again, like mud puddles, it was a little wet under there.
Yeah.
So because I did make that joke. I was like, I could probably just like pull my dipstick out and have enough diesel fuel and be good to go. Anyway, but yeah, like use that paper towel, some leaves, everything, and lit right off.
Yep.
I mean, we had good seasoned firewood, which helps. But but fire starter is definitely a big one.
Yeah.
Unless you're like Bear Grylls and.
I always bring my knife that has the
flint.
Yeah, the flint on it, but having stuff to actually light is super important.
Yeah, because like you don't know if you're on a multi-day trip and you're traveling different areas, you don't know what the weather is going to be the next day,
and that's where I think where people miss the opportunity is they'll split their firewood down.
Yep.
But a good trick to do is take that same hatchet and shave off some wood and set that aside. Like if it's nice and dry outside and you can just use twigs and stuff, great.
Yep.
But keep a bag of shavings with you because when it is wet, those shavings are going to light off real quick.
Yeah.
And that's a great fire starter.
Yep.
It's like those little things that you don't necessarily think about.
Yep.
Or just be lazy, go to Walmart, get the Duralast fire starter and have some in your truck. Or Duralog. Same
Duralast
thing.
is Amazon.
That's true.
It's our latest t-shirt design. Selfish plug right here. DirtNerdsOffroad.com. We have a great shirt. We call it Amazon. It is basically whenever the auto parts store does not have what we need and we just go on to Uncle Bezos's website and 12 hours later it's on our doorstep. Yep. We call that the Amazon.
Yep. Get in the zone.
Amazon. Great t-shirt. Check it out, DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
It's fantastic.
Thanks, PJ, for the artwork.
Yeah.
It's our resident artist.
But yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions about anything specific, obviously feel free to send us a message. We're more than happy to talk about it. Kind of like we said, a lot of this is very dependent on your trip in particular. So there's going to be a lot of variation. There's outside of what you're sleeping in or on, there's a lot of differences in what you're going to have to bring with you or in your group. So don't necessarily take any of this as gospel or anything like that. This is just what we found to be the most important stuff for us.
Yep.
And we've come across people that have thought completely different from us, and it works for them just fine.
Honestly, like we're also kind of figuring out what works. Is like we are kind of transitioning some of what we do as far as more into the overlanding, less rock crawling and fixed campsite stuff. And like we'll probably do another one of these episodes as we change it and things evolve. Yeah,
and if you guys know of anyone who's got stuff, another shameless plug for ourselves, we will gladly test stuff out in the woods. Like we're happy to product review stuff.
Yeah. Like
we're always glad to try new products and see what works. So
I think this is one of those good episodes too where like if you're on Facebook, we have a group, the DirtNerds Off-Road Forum.
Yep.
Usually it's just us like shit posting, putting memes up and various things, but like join that group. Like happy to just, have more discussions about this stuff, interact with you guys as much as possible. And like we love learning things.
Yeah.
We are, it still feels weird to say like we're experts, but like we're not experts. We're experts, but we're not.
Yep.
Like we're
amateur experts.
Yeah. We can go with that. I'm more than happy to be told I'm wrong and why.
Yeah.
And I might disagree with you, but I'll learn something, and hopefully you can learn something. Hopefully you guys all learn stuff from our ramblings. If you haven't fallen asleep by now.
Yeah. Welcome to Dirt Nerds ASMR.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But yeah, other than that, guys, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on any of our social media platforms. Yep. We're always around in some fashion. But other than that, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.
Are you enjoying this podcast? Do you want more ridiculousness from the Dirt Nerds? Check out DirtNerdsOffroad.com. It'll link to all of our social media, as well as our YouTube page, and you can pick up some sweet merch to help support the podcast and other adventures.